All right, everyone, welcome to the end of a wild week when it came to the election. We had FOMC, all kinds of craziness going on. But what we're going to do is the same thing we always do at the end of every single week. We're going to sit back, take a look at the weekly candles that are getting ready to close. I'm recording this a little bit before the close and try to figure out exactly what happened this week. I love doing this. I love this exercise because it just gives me a great view of what happened. It gives me time to go through these charts and ponder, now that I've seen them all, potential moves in the next week. And this is all before what happens over at StatsEdge Pro, where when the market closes, I'll start the systems running all of the back tests back to 1980 in a lot of cases. It comes out with, here's based off of a couple algos I have, a pullback, a mean reversion, trend following. Here's some names and prices to watch next week. I do a video on which ones I like the best. I send that over to the StatsEdge Pro members. They also hang out in our Discord room that will just ping you when, hey, this thing's hit the price from the pullback algorithm, or this one's hit the price from the trend following algorithm. And then we can discuss it there if they have any questions. But I get, before I do all that, I want to do this part because this part gives me an idea of what I like. So for example, we're going to talk about biotechs, and I like the look of biotechs. So when I'm running my systems, if a biotech is in there, then I know it's probably something that I want to trade if it hits that price. So that's why we're doing this. That's why, even as a systematic trader who's using backtests and systems to help pinpoint entries and exits, I like this broad view, and I highly suggest everyone looks at it as well. But wouldn't be a weekend wrap up without starting with Bitcoin, as we always do. Finally, we got the break. We got the break in a lot of things, so we'll go through that. Very bullish week, of course, for the market, unless you've been living under a rock. Now that the election's over, I think the election or the markets probably would have moved regardless of what happened, as long as it was decisive as it was. And I think that's what the market's really resonating with here, is that there was a lot, it was decisive. We know what happened. There was no contest. There was no waiting days to count votes or anything. It's over. The market can move on. And we finally, been talking about this cup and handle for ages on Bitcoin. We have finally broke it. This candle has a couple days until the close, but it looks like we may finally stick the landing here when it comes to this breakout that's occurred. So that's what I'm going to be watching this weekend to see. Now, if this is a resolution from this cup and handle, again, the price targets get pretty wild, like $300,000 a coin. If this is going to have that particular move, I certainly won't hold for that. I have some Bitcoin. I have some Bitcoin miners. Those are all doing fantastic. I'll probably keep some Bitcoin that I have locked away somewhere, but I am looking to take profits if this does a massive spike through 100,000, starts to look a little bit wild. I'll probably be selling into that. Ethereum finally getting going over this area, but really just really a dog when it comes to the crypto space. Solana, however, is looking interesting, also breaking out of this kind of cup and handle style look. So Solana looks very interesting. Through that, right, maybe we could see 400 or 500, which would actually be a double from here. Doge is looking interesting as well. So this is something I want to talk about with Doge. This is the anchored VWAP from the all-time high in Doge. We got back to it in around April and then fell off, and then we're back here as well. I think this could be an Elon play, where Elon is now going to be in the Trump administration and Tesla's reacting because of that. Maybe Dogecoin is as well. Maybe Elon pushes Dogecoin as a reserve currency. Who knows? However, it does look very interesting here at 22 cents. If we can get above 22 cents, maybe it takes a shot at all-time highs, or maybe it even takes a shot at that dollar, which would be a 5x, and that's interesting. But if you're going to trade something like that, you've got to put your stop somewhere, and it would already be at 8 cents. So this, if you trade it, for me, it would be something like a call option. I'm just going to take the trade and buy it, and take it so small that if it does come here and get stopped out and I lose half the money, it's not that big of a deal, right? Gold actually fell on the news. We had this topping tail last week into this resistance, and then we fell this week. Again, I think this was more of a a deep breath out from the market. They say, okay, everything's certain now. We know what's going to happen. We no longer have to be holding this gold on this up move. So maybe some profit taking coming in gold. I sold a lot of my gold position. I'm still going to holding some from this cup and handle style breakout. That's what those lines were. This cup and handle style breakout that occurred. If we get some sort of pullback into kind of 2,500, give or take, that might be a trade that I look to take. Same with silver. Silver couldn't get going and then fell below this level. Take a look at the Dixie. So the dollar index still stuck in this range. Initial bearish reaction from the dollar, but then it started to rebound. I really don't know what to make of that, so I'm going to wait for some more price action and figure out what's happening next there. But wasn't as everything else was pretty decisive and kind of closed decisively or getting close to closing decisively. The dollar was the only kind of flip-floppy type of thing. I don't know if it was uh, one reaction because of the election, the other reaction because of FOMC. I don't know kind of what happened there, but again, stuck in this range, so really nothing to play. If you're trading crypto or if you're trading Forex at all, I think it's still a buy the dip, sell the rip kind of environment there. Taking a look at the SPY, SPY. Let's save and refresh this. Maybe something broke. Who knows? SPY. There we go. Not really too much to say here, right? Just a massive, massive breakout. If we go into the daily chart, we had this island reversal. I've already done a video about that. It's the last video on the channel if you want to check that out. But these island reversals can be pretty powerful patterns. Had a gap down as people were starting to get worried about the election into the 50-day moving average, and then gapped up and continued higher. So everything's looking strong. What's not surprising, but certainly interesting, if we go down the cap scale with IWM is doing much better. Look at that candle on IWM breaking out into new all-time highs. We can take that and mark these all-time highs now. So breaking out and closing into new all-time highs, assuming, again, nothing happens in the last hour. IWC, which is our micro caps, also breaking out. Not quite to all-time highs, but breaking out as well. This could be an interest rate play. The idea could be that interest rates are going to move lower because last time Trump was in office, he bullied Jay Powell into lowering rates, and he said he's going to fire Jay Powell this time and get someone to lower rates. Lowering rates is a good thing for small and mid caps. We saw with the inflation rate adjustment that we had before that large caps, they do fine. They figure out a way around rates. The smaller companies have harder times with higher rates, so that could be a problem for them. So they could be looking at lower rates to say, okay, now if rates are going to lower, this is going to be good for those companies. XBI, so this is the biotechs I was talking about. Look very interesting here. Again, nowhere near all-time highs on this, but if we just draw this out real quick, we have a bit of a breakout of this idea right here. So I'm going to talk about a discretionary trade next week that actually is coming from a systematic trade for StatsEdge Pro that we had last week, a stock that I'm watching that came from something that we do over at StatsEdge Pro. So again, a nice looking breakout. I think it has some room to go here on biotechs, and it makes sense. Biotechs are another one that could benefit from the lower rates that everyone's expecting now that the election is sorted. So XLE, we're hitting off, right? If on the weekly chart, this is the 200-day moving average. So hit the 200-day moving average, looking to bounce off. Energy is looking good. If you look at like USO, for example, it did nothing. If you look at UNG, it did nothing. So, and same with uranium, URA, also didn't do anything, but XLE had a nice candle and is looking strong. So I'm going to research that a little bit further, but this is a nice look to me, right? We had this prior support acting as resistance right here, where we pulled into that zone. We took a nice big bounce off with a good size candle. And last but not least, SMH or semiconductors, they're looking strong as well. So it doesn't look like we're getting a rotation where they're selling semiconductors in the AI play down. They don't think that's going to be in play anymore, and then we're buying other things. I don't think that's what's going on. I think this is a bit of an everything rally. But what we are seeing is these smaller mid caps are benefiting more, again, for whatever policies they think. I'm Canadian, so I don't even follow your guys' politics, but whatever the market is thinking. So The kind of last word and last thing I wanted to say is that regardless of, if you're guy won or lost the election, Canadian don't care. And I think you should have the same mentality where we have a bit of a moment here where there was this massive event that no one knew what was going to happen. And as it got closer and closer and closer, you saw, and I was talking about this a lot, where you saw a lot of inactivity. You saw a lot of no one being too interested one way or another in taking very committal positions. So you had the market bounce and then sell, and then you had industries and breakouts bounce and then sell. At that time, the algorithms that I was playing with StatsEdge were the pullback and the mean reversion algorithms. Now, I'm always going to play those because those are swing trading algorithms. So you're looking to get in and out within about a week. Um, However, I think that we could have this push over time for the next couple weeks where these institutions, now that the election is sorted, have some idea of this is what we think the policies are going to happen, and they're taking their bets. So industries and sectors that start to break out to the long side could get some follow through because these institutions take a long time to move in and out of positions. They can't just click the buy button like we can. So let's, start to look and see what trends are starting to develop and try to get on those trends because they could persist for into the end of the year and a little bit beyond. So when I'm running all these reports, I'm actually going to be focusing a little bit on the trend following algorithm as well. Again, those faster algorithms, the buying the dip, selling the rip, I'm still going to be playing those certainly because again, they're nice plays and they're active plays. But I'm going to start rebuilding core positions in potentially different sectors based off of these breakouts that I saw. So again, that leads me into the one I want to talk about from a discretionary point of view, and that is VERA. So this was actually came through our trend following system last week, or yeah, this week currently, but it had earnings and I wasn't really interested in earnings. This is a therapeutics company, so be warned. Right up against these all-time highs after putting in this very long base on the weekly chart. So next week, I'm going to watch this one over this $50 a share mark. If I want to see a good push and a hold above $50 a share on an intraday chart, maybe 30-minute chart, holding above there for a period of time. Absolute worst case is going to be below this candle right here. But if we get a nice push from that and we get some continuation, I think this could be a really good look. So that's what I'm going to look for next week. So it was an algo pick this week. I'm just keeping this one as a discretionary pick next week. All of the algo picks reset. If nothing triggered this week, then we can push from there and move on. The other one that is kind of interesting to watch here is CROX. It's right near our entry point, so I'll probably exit this Monday for a bit of a break-even trade. Uh, However, I still like the look of it. I think it's going to be back on the mean reversion system next week to see if it pushes down a little bit more to get a better price. This thing has just been, I don't know why, but people love these Crocs. It's been pulling back here. It's coming into some major support in this area right here, this gap fill and this area that it bounced from before. So as it gets there, it's a little bit stretched from this highs. I think that could be a bounce. Those are two ideas from more of the discretionary side that I think we could watch. So that is it for this week. And until I see you guys next time, get away from the screens.